Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Anthony.
Today we're going to explain why you need a local executor in New York. So most people actually correctly assume, hey, you probably need someone local to where the person's going to pass away. You need a local executor in New York. But they may not know exactly why. It's just sort of like a common sense kind of thing. So today we're going to review a few real world scenarios and that sort of illustrate the reasons why a local executor in New York is optimal. Yeah.
Exactly, especially in New York.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get into that. All right. So first is KYC requirements. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, and these are typically banking or financial institution requirements. This means banks have to do, or sort of by regulation, required to take certain steps and take certain measures to make sure that the client is who, or the banker, I guess, the banking customer, is who they say they are. And I think the reason is to prevent fraud and money laundering and terrorism and all those things. Yeah.
Yes.
But for the way that impacts us, it is often results in the banks having to take very specific steps to make sure the executor is who they say they are. And specifically, the executor often has to come in person, which seems odd because most people can open an estate account by text or app or website.
Right.
Not an estate account, a bank account.
A bank account, yeah.
Right. Whereas an executor, because they are sort of representing somebody else, I'm representing an estate or the heirs, has to come in. So having somebody from out of state or out of the country is just really not realistic. Yeah.
No. Especially, like you said, I had to open a bank account just last week, and it took me, I think, 2 minutes online. Just 2. That's it. No, you cannot do that when you have an estate account, when you have to go in person with a wet ink signature.
Yeah. Most people are surprised by that and sort of almost incredulous. Like, no, you're just saying that. You don't have to go on. Like, all right, you can be the executor and have fun flying in when you need to. You know?
Yes. And it has to be done. The banking has to be done in New York. I mean, it's exactly.
And just to be clear, the same applies to brokerages. Let me see what else. Anything that you need to, any account that you need to close or transfer, any regulated financial institution.
Yeah, you need wet signatures, medallion guarantees. I mean, you have to do this and that's in person. Yeah.
Okay, next, selling New York real estate is another reason why a local executor is probably best for New York. So first, we'll talk about the sort of physical logistics. Overseeing the clean out or any renovations or choosing a broker. I mean, I guess you could try to do that remotely, but it's tough. You want somebody to oversee and make sure that nothing's breaking, that the personal effects that need to be shipped to the heirs are done properly. Renovations, that's really hard to get a sense of what's needed, and if it's being done up to par by video. Being there in person is. Would you buy a home by video, or would you want to go in and see it? You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. When you're talking about the clean out, I mean, you're there for the clean out. So you could see if there's damage done, because there's a lot more than just cleaning, right? There's keeping everything in the unit itself, make sure there's not damage.
Absolutely. And choosing a broker, getting a sense of if they understand the neighborhood and the nuance of that particular unit can make a huge difference. And then lastly, selling a New York real estate, you're probably going to be dealing with a co-op, or there's a very good chance you are. We've talked at length about co-ops in New York. They have their rules, and some of them actually require, above and beyond New York state law, that the executor be a New York resident. Okay. They're their own little kingdoms or fiefdoms. They make their own rules.
They do, but you have to follow them. Yeah. And if you are not familiar with co-ops and what they are, and you live in North Carolina and they don't have co-ops there, it's going to be really tough.
There's a lot of people who are like, what? But don't I own it? Nope.
No. And it's, I mean, we've seen the co-op, the paperwork stacks are 2 inches thick that we have to go through. Yeah, it's fun.
So then lastly, closings. I know a lot of places in this country, they do closings by FedEx or by, just circulating documents. Nope, not in New York.
Not here. Nope.
We sit around a table for 3 or 4 hours in person, and just most of the time you're just sitting there, and then you have to sign furiously at the end. That's kind of how it is.
Yep, but like you said, in person. Make sure it's, yes, yep.
Okay, so then lastly, last reason why a local executor is usually best in New York is you'll be dealing with a lot of local bureaucracies that, again, require in person. Death certificates. I don't know if this is still the case, but until very recently, most of those online services where you can order original death certificates, they didn't exist, or they didn't apply to New York City, at least for some reason.
Right.
You'd have to go down to the Department of Health and Human Hygiene and stand online. And you'd have to know the lady behind the desk if you wanted to get it done quicker.
Right.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Similarly, court documents. There are a lot of yes, you can technically order court documents online, or at least some of them. It is so much easier if you have someone run down and do them, or if you can personally go down and run down and do them. For example, ordering an exemplified copy of a file, which is a sort of special certified copy of a file, you need to know the page count of the file because they charge you per page. Just as a silly example.
But
how do you get the page count unless you've been down there and seen the file?
Right. You can't.
Exactly.
You can't access this online to see how many pages and do the math, and trying to get someone on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Calling and asking a clerk, how many pages in this file? Get ready for the hang-up, the quick hang-up.
Yeah, let me put you on hold indefinitely until tomorrow. Yeah.
So I know these are weird examples. Like, what? Really? I need to have a local executor so he can count the pages? That's just one of several sort of little tasks. Yeah.
Yep. And if you're, like you said, if you're executor somewhere else, everything we just said has to be done in real life, IRL, and they're going to have to fly in to do that. And that's going to get really expensive and really annoying really quickly. Yeah. So, and that being said, Anthony's book, How to Hire an Executor, is definitely a good idea if you have given thought to an executor, especially someone who's out of town.
Very good. Like I said, most people kind of already know intuitively that you should have a local executor, but this is just strengthening that opinion with some examples, some real world examples and nitty gritty details. Yeah.
Well, we're still finding though people that are out of state, so this might not be as big of a. People might not know as much as we think. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Well, hope this was helpful. Thanks, Janice, as always. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will talk soon next time. Bye now.
Talk soon.